What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of Overwatch League news and discussion. And we're going to be talking about something that's very exciting for me personally and a lot of other people that live here in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is the fact that after the Season 1 finals for Overwatch League, it was announced that Atlanta, Georgia actually secured the first expansion team slot for Season 2 of Overwatch League. This was something we were kind of speculating about throughout Season 1, where the new expansion teams were going to be. And a lot of us here in Atlanta were hoping we would get a spot in Season 2. We weren't really sure about it, but we do have actually quite a little hotbed of esports going on here in Atlanta, Georgia. Especially at the college level. A lot of our major colleges around here have Overwatch collegiate teams, esports teams in general. And they've had some esports tournaments here before for, I believe, League of Legends and Smite and some other games. But overall, Atlanta is a pretty cool little place for esports, and there is a huge international community here that I think is going to really embrace this team, regardless of who it's made up of. And it's just super exciting news for Overwatch fans here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's really awesome for me personally because now I'm going to have a hometown team to root for. I was really a Philadelphia Fusion fan before, mostly because I grew up in the Pittsburgh area, or close to the Pittsburgh area, went to college around there as well, and they were the closest kind of local team for me in terms of a place I'd grown up in. But I've lived in Atlanta now for almost 10 years. It's the second longest I've lived in any state in the country. So Atlanta's kind of like my second home, and so it's going to be really cool now to have an actual hometown team to root for. They haven't announced any of the super good details, like what our team name's going to be, what the colors are going to be, who's going to be on the roster, any of that good stuff. But Blizzard did make the official announcement today. It had already been leaked a couple days ago on ESPN and from a few other sources, but there weren't a whole lot of details. All we know is that Cox Enterprises bought the expansion slot, and they were the first company to get in for Season 2. It's rumored there's going to be anywhere from 4 to 6 new expansion teams coming into Overwatch League for Season 2, and we will talk about that in a little bit. That's the other part of this video I wanted to sort of address, was whether or not the league is ready to expand so much, but we can talk about that later. But so far, Atlanta and I believe a Chinese team have been confirmed as the first 2 expansion slots. There may be 2 more teams, possibly up to another 4 after that, so we're going to see what happens. And it's rumored that these teams are buying in at record prices. Season 1 of Overwatch League, it was basic, I think, $20 million buy-in for any of the teams. And they're saying now that they said Atlanta paid anywhere between 30 and 60 million. They haven't released an actual figure, but Activision CEO, I believe, said that they were getting record numbers offered for bids for these new expansion teams. So pretty cool and very exciting. I cannot wait to see the official announcements for what our team name is and all that fun stuff. I'm just hoping they don't name us after a bird. Pretty much every single team in Atlanta. We've got the Falcons. We used to have the Thrashers in the NHL. We, of course, have the Hawks in the NBA. So it seems like all of our teams are named after a bird of some type. So hopefully they'll either name it after a really cool bird or try to do something more unique. But we will see. Hopefully in the next couple weeks they'll start announcing it. And then we'll get to see what kind of players we can sign, what kind of free agents we can get, what kind of general players they maybe will pick up from contenders. If there's any local players here in the area they can get, if they're going to have open tryouts, who knows. But it's really exciting for me. I'm totally pumped since I'm a huge Overwatch fan, and since I really bought into Overwatch League in Season 1. I just now kind of wish I had saved all my tokens so I could buy all the Atlanta skins when they come out. But anyways, that was kind of leading me into the next topic, is whether or not Overwatch League is actually ready to expand as a league. And I'm actually a little worried about this. We were joking the other day, me and my buddy at work, who also plays Overwatch, we were joking that all we really had to do in our first season was win 1 game and we would be better than the Shanghai Dragons, which was pretty hilarious. But you have teams like Shanghai and teams like the Florida Mayhem and then teams like the Dallas Fuel even. And there were a couple others who really underperformed and really did not play very well in the first season. If anything, in the first season, there was a huge talent disparity between the top of the league and the bottom of the league. There were really only 2 or 3 solid, clear-cut good teams in Overwatch League in the first season, and I don't even think the best 2, well, besides, London Spitfire made the finals, but I did not think that Philadelphia Fusion were the second best team in the league. I thought New York was the best team in the league for the entire time, really until Stage 4 when they kind of screwed around a little bit, plus had some meta changes. But I felt New York and London all throughout Season 1 were pretty much the best two squads, and it wasn't even close in terms of talent disparity between them and the rest of the teams. The Los Angeles Valiant made a little bit of a push towards the end of Stage 3 and in Stage 4, and I thought they had a really solid team, and they've got a lot to build on for next year. But besides those three teams, the rest of the league was very inconsistent. You had teams like the Houston Outlaws who looked really good at times, the Los Angeles Gladiators who looked really good at times, but then they would just inexplicably choke in certain matches or lose matches that they should have won. And of course, I had the aforementioned Dallas, Florida, Shanghai, and even San Francisco to a point. Even though San Francisco had Sinatra and paid him a ton of money and had some other good players, they really underperformed in Season 1. And there's just such a huge disparity between the talent at the top and the bottom of the league right now. If you're going to add in another 4 to 6 teams, it makes you wonder where those teams are actually going to find rosters to be competitive in Overwatch League, because there's going to be a new signing period in free agency, and now the gloves are going to be off because obviously people saw that in the first season, the contracts with these kids, most of these kids are getting paid $50,000, and obviously there's people who have shown that they are definitely going to make more money, and now we're going to see probably some really huge contracts coming out. And I don't know what Blizzard's going to do, or the Overwatch League is going to do in general, to kind of prevent things like, you know, the best teams just locking in all the best players and paying them exorbitant amounts of money so that no one else can get them. I don't know how that's going to work. If we're eventually going to see a players union, which would probably be a good idea given some of the player health issues we saw in the first season, and along with some of the player discipline issues. I think they may have to go that route like some of the professional sports leagues and do a players union. But I don't know how they're going to do all these contracts and keep the teams at the top from remaining top heavy and keeping all the talent. And right now I just don't see enough talent to go around to support another 4 or even 6 teams. I mean, if you go to 16 or 18 teams in the Overwatch League, given how non-competitive most of the league was, you had 12 teams in Season 1, and really only 3 or 4 of those teams were competing for the top of the league, you know, and there were, you know, 2 teams that were kind of mediocre, and then you had 4 teams at the bottom that were absolutely abysmal. You know, Dallas showed some signs of life in Stage 4, but really, you know, they weren't very good overall, and we know that Florida and Shanghai were both abysmal. They were just horrible. And so I don't see what adding in any more teams is going to do for the competitiveness of the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's also going to be some free agents that are out there. You know, there's the whole situation with Fisher with LA Gladiators, where he kind of sat out the finals, the semifinals. Not sure why, and made up some excuse about how iRemix was just the better tank in the meta and all this. You know, with one of the best tanks in the league. You know, saying that a guy who hardly plays is better than him in the meta was really, really weird. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Fisher, because he's probably not going to be back to the Los Angeles Gladiators. And then whether or not we see Effect come back to the Dallas Fuel. I know Arrow's been talking about him coming back and getting healthy, but I don't know if he'll be back with that team. You know, there's going to be a lot of movement probably. There's going to be a lot of teams that are looking to improve quite a bit, like the Seoul Dynasty, who were, you know, picked at the start of the league to be the best team and then didn't even make really any of the stage playoffs or the final playoffs. So lots of teams have a lot to prove in Season 2, and then you're going to be adding in several more expansion teams. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and how exactly they're able to maintain a decent level of talent in the Overwatch League so that it's competitive. Because honestly, towards the end of the season, it did get kind of boring with some of the games. Like, I know people tuned in to see if Shanghai could finally win their first match, and it just never happened. I never thought it would happen. You know, they came close a few times, but they just, talent-wise, I felt some of the bottom teams of the league, you could have almost pulled anybody off the top 500 ladder and maybe put them in on those teams, and it might have made a difference in terms of making them better. You know, they were just some of the players that were that bad in Season 1. But again, you know, just really not sure how they're going to support the talent. I don't think there's enough talent in contenders right now to put together another 4 to 6 Overwatch League teams. It just doesn't seem like it's there. There may be a couple, 5 or 6 kids that can come out of contenders and play in the Overwatch League right now, but I really just do not see it. See them coming in and making a huge difference to the point where you're going to have 4 to 6 more teams that are going to be super competitive in the league. But you never know; we could be surprised. I guess I'm hoping Atlanta will be decent and be competitive in their first season. I'm not expecting them to do great or win the league or be at the top of the league. Of course, it's going to depend on who we actually get in terms of players. It's just kind of exciting we have a team now, but I am worried as well about them expanding Overwatch League in general and just simply not having enough of a talent level to maintain it. And it becomes similar to the NBA, where you have 2 or 3 teams out of like 30, and only you know exactly who's going to win every season, like the Golden State Warriors. It's just not fun for the people that are watching. It's not good for the overall health of the league, even though Overwatch League did fairly well in Season 1 financially. I think towards the end, a lot of people were kind of getting bored with the match format and just seeing the same teams over and over and over again that you knew were going to lose. So anyways, guys, that's my concern for Season 2 of Overwatch League, but I'm very excited that Atlanta is getting a new team. Whenever we get more details on that here, I will, of course, make a video about it most likely, but feel free to let me know down below what you think of Overwatch League expanding to add in another 4 to 6 teams. Do you think they'll be able to handle the talent discrepancy? Do you think they'll be able to find new players to fill these teams up so that they are somewhat competitive in Season 2? Or do you think it's a bad idea for the league to expand right now when they clearly don't even have 12 fully competitive teams that can compete for the top of the league? Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you again next time.